Primetime Sports with Scott Alexander is underwritten by Task Performance.
Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Hey New Orleans, get ready for some rugby. There's a new pro sports team in town, and it's NOLA Gold, bringing world-class rugby to the Crescent City. The game is fast, the hits are hard, the fan experience is for real. Season tickets, lifetime tickets, and game day passes are all available at nolagoldrugby.com. I'm John Goodman, and I'll see you in the scrum.
So here's the bottom line. Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you. Good evening and welcome to Primetime Sports. Hey, I'm your host, Scott Alexander. And remember last week we talked college baseball. It's the opening of the season. And we talked about it. We had 3 coaches. Well, this week's a little different. I'm going to promote college basketball in a big way. We're towards the end of the season, the stretch run, and I have 2 of the hottest college coaches in America, and certainly 2 of the hottest teams, UNO and Mark Schlesinger. They have won 5 of their last 6 games in conference, and also Southeastern and Jay Ladner. They've won 9 out of 10 after dropping their first 3 conference games. Both teams sit at 9-4, and they are battling tomorrow night in Lakefront Arena. They're both going to be here to talk about that. And guess what? Neither of them know that the other's coming, and they're going to be in the segment together. That's going to be a lot of fun. But even hotter, how about the LSU Tigers? Can't say enough about this team. They've won 14 out of 15 games, and they sit atop of the SEC. They're tied with Tennessee, who just lost to Kentucky, and they're both 11-1. So after LSU plays Florida tomorrow night, Saturday will be the big showdown for the first place in the SEC. Both teams 11-1, Tennessee and LSU. And who could forget that huge road win? You see them celebrating right there against Kentucky. Only LSU's second win in Rupp Arena since 1989. What a fabulous finish that was. And by the way, baseball, we just talked about them. The opening weekend went pretty well. And very well for some, pretty well for others in South Louisiana. LSU, they went 3-0. 2 close games, though, against ULM and Army. They had the blowout against Air Force to win that. Tulane, 3-0. 2 walk-offs to win the Friday-Saturday tilts. And then Sunday, they got a blowout against GW. UNO, hey, they lost their first one to Michigan State. No surprise, right? They came back, and Blake Dean's guys won the next 2 against Big Ten power Spartans. Huge win. The UL Raging Cajuns, they lost their first 2 to Texas, but they salvaged it with a big Sunday win, and we can't be surprised at that. But how about one thing? Louisiana Tech might be the biggest surprise. They scored a bunch of runs, beating Southeastern all 3 games this weekend. Southeastern, well, they get LSU tonight. Hey, AD, LeBron, how about this love fest that they have? These 2, yeah, they look like they're smitten and in love right there. We're going to talk about all this and more on Primetime Sports next.
The love of my life is a shady lady. Turned me up just to bring me down. Used to be calm, but now she's crazy. I don't mind. She's not the love of my life anymore. Yup. Ha ha. I like this guitar.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. Hey, I'm your host, Scott Alexander, and we have a very special treat for you. You know how much I love basketball. Last week, we talked about how we wanted to get everybody out and supporting college baseball because it was the start of the season. Well, guess what? The postseason of college basketball is right around the corner. You know about March Madness. You know about the big conference tournaments, and, of course, March, the big dance when you get to the NCAA tournament. But, man, these games leading up are so important for seeding, for placement, and possibly even winning a championship in their own conferences. Right here in New Orleans, we have a giant, and I mean giant game tomorrow against two teams that are very hot. Everybody wants to talk about LSU winning their first of 11 of 12 conference games, and they're doing great, no doubt about it. But two teams even closer to New Orleans are doing just as well. Hey, the UNO Privateers, they've won 5 out of 6. They are rolling along. They started this thing in 2017 when they won the Southland Conference. And then the team that was a co-champion last year, Jay Ladner and his Southeastern Lions, well, they won 9 out of 10 this year, and they are building on the success they had last year. And guess what? I've got both of them right here to talk about their big matchup, and I can't wait. I love the game of basketball. I've had both of them on before. Coach Sless has been on several times. Ladner I had on last year, and I had a great time with him as well. But welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
My friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I can't tell you, man, as a guy who loves basketball, I got 2 great coaches sitting right here. I'm going to start with you, my friend. Hey, man, you built this thing. You started building it, and I saw, because I got here kind of when you did. I moved back to New Orleans, and I watched your team and how well they played. You know, you didn't have the talent, and you kept growing it, and then you got some more talent, and then you started winning. And now this is 3 years in, and UNO is now a name in college basketball.
It's been great to see, this renaissance happening, and we know how hard we've had to work to do it, but it's been a labor of joy. And to try to work every day, day in and day out to get this program back to the status we were at when we were, a top 25 mid-major program is really, really important to us and our student athletes and our university. So it's a big step forward for us, and we're glad we got the thing moving in the right direction.
And I am too. As a kid, I remember Wayne Cooper in the 70s. I mean, they had some success then. The 80s, obviously, they had some really, really good teams. And even in the 90s, say some teams, NCAA tournament-bound team. I remember like 96 or so, 96, 97, when we were in that era. What was the key to bringing this thing back to where they were back then?
I think consistency, being able to get student athletes that consistently give their best effort and their best attitude on a daily basis. We've worked tremendously hard to get guys in that fit our culture, that buy into the university, into the city, that believe in what we're trying to do and doing things the right way. And we've been blessed to have success. And I've been really lucky. I mean, I got great coaches that work day in and day out. But the credit goes to the student athletes. How hard they work on a daily basis is amazing. And they've continued to work with passion and know that this is a long run, but they gotta run every day to get to the end.
These coaches didn't know each other was coming today. They're probably not going to talk to me after this. This might be the last appearance, so get a good look at them right now. But Jay Ladner, listen, y'all came on the scene. You've always been good, but you came on the scene. You have a kid right here from New Orleans, from Helen Cox, Marlon Veal. What has he meant for this program?
Well, Marlon, when Marlon decided to come to Southeastern 4 years ago, really we had just gotten there as a staff, kind of as Sless had talked about building their program. And let me just interject something. I'll be the first one to say I wish they would go back to the Sun Belt. Because he does a great job, and I always look forward to seeing him. But I tell him every year before we actually play, as we're exchanging handshakes before the game, that I look forward to seeing him, but not playing him. And I mean that with great respect. They have a very distinct, tough style.
They do.
We may get
You're right.
Talk about that, and they're not easy to play against. You don't look forward to playing them, I can tell you, and that's very much respect. But backing up to Marlinville 4 years ago, we were really selling a vision, of where we wanted our program to be. We didn't have a lot of success at that particular time to be able to build on, but he was able to buy into that vision and where we wanted our program to be. And fortunately, our success has really kind of paralleled his success as an individual, but it's helped elevate our program and bringing it to a certain amount of we want to have continued success each year, and so we're certainly pleased with that. Hasn't been a one-man show. We certainly have some other young men. Moses Greenwood, I'd love to mention Moses, because he came in the same recruiting class and has meant a lot to our program. It's going to be a sad day here, in just a few weeks when they play their last basketball game. They've certainly have meant a lot to our program.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up as well. UNO's kind of got everybody scores and this, and you kind of let the balance. You guys at Southeastern have Moses Greenwood and Marlon Veal both averaging 15-plus points. And then you have a lot of guys in the middle. How has that worked out for you? Obviously, you won the championship last year. But when you have the top-heavy scoring that you do it.
Well, it's a little bit different, and it's really, if I had to script it out, I wouldn't have it like that. I'd have it more like Sless's group and more balance. And when we've had our better offensive games, we have had more balance. And I think that we have progressed over the last 6 to 7 weeks to other guys being able to step in and provide a little more of the scoring. But for certainly a certain part of the year prior to starting league play, we were really, really top heavy in scoring. And I think as a coach, again, we preach teamwork. Celeste does the same thing. You preach teamwork and team play. Sometimes it's a little more difficult. However, if those are the two guys that give you the best chance to win, you want the ball in their hands most of the time. But I think one of the things that's really I've been pleased to see is, again, what I'm saying is the last 3 or 4 weeks we've had other guys really increase in their offensive game, and it's taken some of the pressure off them. And I hope it makes us a little bit harder to prepare for rather than just have to prepare for two guys.
Yeah, I don't think this guy plays a whole lot, but I was at that LSU game when the kid came off the bench and he hit like 7 straight threes. I'm like,
Parker Edwards, yes.
and
actually, to be honest with you, he's one of those guys that's recently has kind of reemerged. He's really played well over the last 4 or 5 games, and it's kind of given us a spurt in a few games where we really needed him to.
He was hot as a firecracker that game.
I've never. We took his red shirt off with about 12 minutes left in the game, and that's a true story too.
He said, "Okay, you're hot." All right. Hey, by the way, I had a similar experience. The game I went, Bryson Robinson was that dude for you guys. He got off. I think y'all were trailing in one game like 15-2, and all of a sudden you just went on this run and blew, might have been even Stephen F. out of the water. And I've been to a game since then, but what I also love about your games now, you have the Hebert clan just going nuts in the stands. Because I went with the one game I went with T-Bob, and he's just cheering like this was LSU football. I mean, he was going crazy. And then the next game, I was with Bobby Hebert, which was just a couple weeks ago, because their son and brother, obviously T-Bob's brother, Bobby's son, Bo, is a student manager, grad assistant manager, correct?
Yeah, he's our video coordinator. And
there he is.
Doing a tremendous job.
Former Nichols quarterback.
He was a Nichols quarterback. He was a student. He played basketball up until his senior year of high school. Didn't play any football at all at Greater Atlanta Christian, and went out and played football his senior year. And then played football at Nichols for 4 years. Had a good career. Wanted to get back into coaching, and we've been blessed to have him as a part of our group. And they travel as a unit, and so
they do.
And
JoJo was there by herself one game too.
Correct. So it's been neat, and Bobby's mom and dad, Mr. and Miss Hebert, were there on Saturday. So it's been neat to see them a part of it, and I think they've enjoyed basketball and enjoyed the atmosphere in Lakefront Arena. I think it's one of the best in the state.
No, they love it, and they're ambassadors for you guys. It's funny because they were both supposed to come to the rugby game on Saturday, but then they said, listen, we're got to go to UNO. We're going to catch the game starting in March.
We trumped you. I'm sorry.
You trumped me. I was like, all right, I can't blame you. That's a big deal. Hey, you just mentioned about one last thing. Bo, I'm going to give you a little tidbit. He was always, like, I knew him in Atlanta when he was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because Bobby would call me because I was doing Hawks games for tickets, but it was always – He didn't care if they were not the best tickets, but unless Steve Nash was in town, he goes, I got to get the courtside tickets, man. Bo loves Steve Nash. So it always took him up when Phoenix came in town, right on the court. So that's one thing Bo has never forgotten. He's like, dude, I remember you used to hook me up for the tickets. So I knew him as a basketball guy even before football. But moving forward, he gave you a compliment, and this is the first thing when I watched your team play back 2013, I believe, maybe 12-13 season. Your teams do play scrappy. They play hard. This is the type of teams you do not want to play against because you know they're going to fight you to the end. They're going to stretch. They're going to claw. When you hear compliments like that, because that's a testament of how you coach, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's very humbling. I think a lot of that credit though goes back to our staff and our players. I think that they play with tremendous passion because they love each other. They play for each other. And with each other, and I think it's a very clear picture of why they like being a part of our program, and the guys that have been there have stayed and have great success. But that's the expectation, is to give your best effort all the time. I think the more times we do that, it creates us a little bit of margin. We're not always the most talented offensive teams, and I think we understand that right away, and we play to our strengths a lot of times, which is defense, rebounding, and creating opportunities for us to score. Maybe in transition or off of turnovers.
Well, for years, this conference, the Southland, was run kind of by Stephen F. Austin. I mean, they were a team that was doing really well. Obviously, that Sam Houston had some good times. But this 60-mile radius near New Orleans, Hammond and Thibodeau, for the last 2 years, they've been the conference champions. UNO, you did it 2 years ago. You had another great season last year. and then you guys in Nichols. So Louisiana, particularly Southeast Louisiana, has kind of taken over that mantle. I'm gonna start with you. Tell me why.
Well, I think this is a league that's generally cyclical, and I think if you go back, I've been in this league since 2000, so you can go back to where it's pretty much near half and half of Texas or Louisiana teams that are going to win the league, and so Stephen have had an amazing run like no other in conference history, but at the same time, I remember we sat at a league meeting and they were trying to figure out how everything was going to go, that the Texas teams were playing. It was unbalanced because they had to play each other too much, and we kind of laughed because we knew we had a good team coming. He knew he had a good team coming,
right.
And that's the way it happens, and we're both going to be very, very good for several years to come. And that's the part about it that I think is great about college athletics and basketball in particular, that there can be immediate parity year to year, where different in football, it may be the same two teams in the national championship every year. And I think that's why college basketball is the best product on earth.
Oh, I agree. And by the way, now do y'all go to the meetings and say, man, it's not fair. We have to play each other so much. These Texas teams are terrible.
I think Mark would agree with this. If we used their mentality that he was referring to, we could say that, because it appears that the power structure, and if you just went back on the last 3 years of who's representing the conference, it would be like that. But he as Mark so I think aptly said, it's cyclical, and it will go. I think we have great coaching in our league, throughout the league, and that's including all the schools. And there's really not a huge difference, Scott, between the number one team, whoever finishes number one, and the number 13 team. I mean, we just the other day we played Incarnate Word, who happens to be in last place at the moment, and escaped with, just barely get out of there with a win. So there's just not a lot of difference. It's an incredibly balanced league with really good coaching.
You guys lost a lot of close games early on. I mean, I follow the Southland Conference now as much as I follow the SEC, and that's because of y'all. I've known you now for 5, 6, 7 years even, and I like the conference a lot. And I watched it. I watch it each, and I almost have a pang of pain when y'all lose. I really do. Like, I want the teams to do well. Yeah. And I kept seeing this. We
all have that pain.
Yeah, yes, you do. Yours is maybe a little harder than mine. But no, you were losing a lot of close games. Did you know? Because now you've won 9 out of 10 conference games. That's not easy to do in any conference. Did you know that you had something special happening?
Well, we felt like I didn't do a good job of preparing our team to play a really rigorous non-conference schedule that I was responsible for putting together. Right. And we kind of we opened up with LSU, and then we went to Nebraska and Texas Tech, and all teams that have Ole Miss, and teams that have been in the top 25 at some point. And it hit our confidence a little bit. And then there was I don't think that we'd quite gotten our team together yet as well. A lot of different factors there, and again, I'm responsible for make those things work. And then we just lost a lot of close games, literally 5 of 6 games at one point that we lost on the last shot of the game, or free throws with a second or so left. But it's not a lot of times I think we get, Celeste may echo this, or you get caught up in did they win or did they lose, and you kind of get away from the process of just improving every day. And we try not to get too high after a win or too low after a loss. We just try to be very methodical and constructively criticize, beginning with myself and our team and players, and how we can get better. And so I have to give our players and as Mark gave his coaching staff credit, our coaching staff, of just being very methodical about that. And we've been able to improve enough now that we've been able to win a few of those close games. But the margin of I think, and you can even look throughout our league, it's incredible how many games really go to the wire inside of our league. And so to be able to close out games and do what people may consider little things, but it could come out to maybe not blocking out on a free throw, or maybe having a turnover, an errant turnover or something, that are the difference between winning and losing. You have to take care of those little things. Yeah,
in one game, you guys, we'd be talking about a 6-game win streak, and we'd be talking, you had a 4-game win streak right before this in conference, but they had the 1-point loss to Nichols, and that's one of these games that just, the game I believe you're talking about that Bobby Hebert went to, right? Yeah. It just, they sneak up on you, right?
No, I mean, sometimes the team just makes one more shot than you do, And our guys brought it up this morning that they say, we always tell us each possession has equal value, the first one and the last one. We go back to we lost at the three-point shot, but we had several possessions that we should have changed differently earlier. And so it's something that we work at daily to make as many winning plays as we can. And we're going to keep working at it till this thing's over.
Doesn't that drive you crazy, though? Because everybody knows you value possessions at the end of the game. But each possession in the game means something. Until you're a coach, you don't really, you're a fan. It's like, oh, it's just a turnover. Yeah, but those add up. And then you don't have a chance to score on each of those times you turn the ball over.
No, and I think Division I basketball is unique even more so than the NBA, that there's such a high value on every possession. And literally every possession you're kind of living and dying with. And
as a guy that played, I never really took that to heart, because it's like, oh, I'll get it back. If you turn the ball over, I miss a shot that's probably a shot I shouldn't have taken, but there was never a shot I shouldn't have taken. But the fact is, it's like, now as a guy that lives and dies with you coaches, I get it because, dude, don't you realize that could bite you in the butt at the end of the game? Now let's talk about this real quick because I don't have a lot of time. Big game tomorrow night at UNO Lakefront Arena. Put your spiel to get fans to this game.
Well, it's one of our goals when we took over the program at Southeastern 5 years ago, and we're in our 5th season, was to be able to play meaningful games from mid-February on. This is as meaningful as it gets, and it's great for our area, and it's great for basketball. It's great for the 2 universities. It's happened like this not just this year. I think, Celeste, it's been really at least the last 3 years, because they've kind of been there already. We've been able to improve enough to where we could compete with them. But to be able to play a meaningful game against what has become, I think, a very great rivalry between the 2 universities at this point of the year that has so much meaning. I'm not sure if you're a basketball fan, I would encourage you, and if you don't really, if you're a basketball fan in this area, encourage you to get out to the lakefront tomorrow night, because it's going to be, every time UNO and Southeastern have played, it has been a great game.
It's been fun.
It really is. It'll be a hard-fought, tough basketball game.
And you both are building these fan bases. I love it. Sam Houston, is that the team that's in first? Or
correct.
They're probably going to get first unless something crazy happens. However, y'all are both 9-4. The next team is Abilene Christian at 10-3. Unless they have 3 losses. We know when you get to the tournament, you get that bye if you finish second or first, obviously. So what does it mean for you to finish second?
It's huge. I mean, we're still chasing to win the tournament.
Okay.
I mean, contrary to your
to win the regular season.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
How many games are left?
1 and 2 get a double bye, so we're working as hard as we can.
You want one?
Yeah, I want one.
All right.
I want one, and I'll take 2, but I'd rather have 1.
I don't mean to be the realist in this crowd, but anyway, I enjoy you both so much. Hey, this is called Shays de la Shays.
Thank you.
I know it's a little ways from Hammond, but come check
Scott.
it out. I know
Appreciate
you've been there.
Best. My wife's favorite date night.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Evan Hayes, his wife's favorite date night is Shays de la Shays. Well, you can wear this shirt while you're there.
Thank you.
That is a nice Task Performance shirt.
Bamboo fabric.
Bamboo cotton fiber. You're right about that. How about it? And there you go, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
And then I'm going to get you guys hooked on this. Once that season ends, one of these dates, y'all still be playing the NCAA tournament March 23rd. So we'll get you April 13th. April 13th, we'll get you down to a rugby game and let you see what the real men do.
Sounds good.
Appreciate you both so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I surprised you, but I just wanted to have
awesome.
this.
No
I wanted
problem.
to push this game. I wanted to push this sport. And I just want to thank you guys for what you do for college basketball and the young men that play it.
Thank you
for having us.
I truly mean that. 2 great guys, 2 great coaches. Let's get on out there. I'll be there. Let's have some fun. UNO Lakefront Arena, Southeastern, UNO. It's going to be a great matchup tomorrow evening. Hey, not done yet. Speaking of rugby, I have the leading tackler in Major League Rugby. He's also the all-time leading tackler for the NOLA Gold. His name is Zack Stryffler. And also later on, we're going to talk the Anthony Davis saga. It continues. What to do with this young man, the superstar who's not going to be playing here in New Orleans next season? Does he play the rest of the year? We're going to talk to Andrew Lopez about that later, right here on Primetime Sports.
Primetime Sports with Scott Alexander is underwritten by Task Performance.
The owners of the De La Shays Wine Bar on St. Charles Avenue have opened up their newest creation uptown on Maple Street called Chez de la Shay, a new local wine bistro featuring a larger menu of small and large plates, a brighter atmosphere, and full table service. Additionally, patrons can enjoy a large patio out front as well as an extensive wine list offering selections from around the world. It's Chez de la Chez, 7708 Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
Embracing New Orleans soul with style in fashion wear from NOLAshirts.com. Show off your love for one of America's unique cities with shirts, belts, and hats in a variety of colors and styles. NOLAshirts.com proudly celebrates the culture and embodies the spirit and determination of people from the Crescent City. The tradition lives on at NOLAshirts.com.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. Wow, what a fun segment that was with the two coaches. And I love that they didn't even know they were going to be here, each of the other. But that was fun. So get out there to UNO tomorrow night. That's going to be a big game. They're both tied for third place, and they're trying to get back into first, which they both were in the last 2 years. So anyway, I told you later on we're going to talk some Pelicans, Anthony Davis, that whole saga, like any of us want to still talk about that. But Anthony's been here for 7 years, so we'll talk to Andrew Lopez, who's the beat writer from the Times-Picayune, of course, NOLA.com. But right now, you know I've been giving them some love because this team deserves it. They are called the NOLA Gold. It's Mardi Gras, and my guest today, Zack Stryffler. We brought his Mardi Gras jersey. This is what they wear to warm up. What is up, Mr. 3-1?
Hey,
How
Scotty.
are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. The leading tackler in MLR right now, Major League Rugby. You're also, in the 2 years that the NOLA Gold have been in existence, you're the leading tackler in their history. So how does it feel, brother?
It feels pretty good, to be honest. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be in this position coming into the season, so it's a pleasant surprise.
Hey, Mardi Gras, I'm looking at you. That's the first thing I see because those are the Mardi Gras colors. You wouldn't have had any idea when you saw purple, green, and gold that was Mardi Gras, would you?
No clue.
Yeah. So what was your thoughts about Mardi Gras growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, or the roundabouts of that? What did you know about Mardi Gras?
I just knew it was supposed to be a wild time. Party of the year, everyone said that's where, when you watch Travel Channel or Discovery Channel, there's a Mardi Gras show or Mardi Gras food and the costumes and all the parades, and so that's all I knew about it until we came down last year.
Did you this season started a couple months earlier than last year, so obviously I think Mardi Gras would have already passed, but y'all would have been practicing, I'm assuming. Did you get to experience any of the parades, any of that stuff?
I went to all the parades last year.
Did you?
Yeah,
Nice.
you couldn't come to New Orleans and not go to Mardi Gras.
So tell me about it. What was it like?
It was, I can't use words to use it. It was just, you just show up and it was just things were everywhere. People were all over the place. Beads are flying at you. There's cups going, there's koozies, there's people going crazy, there's bands. Yeah, it was wild.
You got an off week this week. This isn't the epicenter yet of Mardi Gras because I believe y'all will be out of town for a game in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
in Utah, trying to get that fourth win. But this weekend, I'm just curious because it's kind of the beginning of it. Are they going to let you all out and have a good time? What's the story?
Yeah, so we have a few days off this weekend as it is our first bye week.
Yeah.
So I know a few of the boys are going to be going out to it. I am going to be heading back north. I'm going to go see.
Go home.
Go back. I have a house and a fiance. I'd like to see her. Yeah.
Nice.
And then
you've already experienced it anyway.
Yeah, I did Mardi Gras last year, so I'm good. I could do this guilt-free, go back home.
Before we get to the rugby, I want to ask you one more thing. You mentioned Mardi Gras food, just food in general in New Orleans. What's been your take on it?
It's dense. Yeah, it's very dense. Yeah, I like the rice. I like the jambalaya. I love the po' boys. I'm a huge sandwich guy. So
the po' boys are great.
Yeah, any po' boy, I'm good with that.
So you're saying the dense stuff like the etouffee and the red beans, you're kind of laying off of that?
It's very rich. I don't mind it, but you can only have bits of it.
Yeah. That's what happens. I was gone for a long time, stayed in great shape. I moved back 5 years, and here you go. That's what happens.
Yeah.
New Orleans food, especially if you're from here and you come back. Now, as far as this team, 3-1. You go into the season. I know you're disappointed about the loss this weekend, which by the way, Rooney, they call them Rugby United of New York. They're an expansion team, but these are a bunch of seasoned pros. They got some great players from around the world. But you had to lead most of this game. I see my man Marsh there. I don't call him my man, but he was good. I got to give him credit.
He's a good player.
Cahal Marsh. Looks like Cathal. But anyway, he was great. But by the way, you led most of the game. You felt. Do you think this is like one of those losses that's going to stick with you, or is this maybe something? Sometimes they say a loss is good for you because, hey, it wakes you back up.
Yeah, I hope this loss sticks with us. There's a lot of things that we didn't do well. So a lot of things that we were coached, a lot of things that we trained with. That we didn't put into practice come game time. So this is one of the losses that you never like to lose, but when you do, you want to make it a memorable one. And especially the last of our 4 in front of our home crowd, we feel that we don't want to put on a bad show at home.
You came to 4 straight games to start. This is a 16-game season. For those of you who don't know, 16 games. You had 4 home games to start. When I was asking people about the schedule for the season, they said this might be the 4 best teams in the league, maybe other than yourselves, going into the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have think that being the case, having a 3-5 team last year on a shortened schedule, that being 3-1 would have been something you would have taken and run. Is that the case?
Oh, we're absolutely proud of where we're at right now. I mean, we're still top of the table. We're able to score a lot of points, as you guys can see.
That means 4 basically matches played. Bonus points is that middle number, just so everybody knows, and points is at the end. The points are what matters in rugby?
Yes. So the points at the end of the regular season, top 4 will go to the next round. And while you'd love to play to be undefeated and never lose a game, you just play to get into the next season.
And here's the thing. Okay, so people know those points are, this is how they're totaled, because I'm still learning myself. You get 4 points for a win. So that means you are 3-1, you have 12 points. But the bonus points are key, because if you played the other team within 7 when you lose, you get a bonus point. But you also get a bonus point, which y'all have done each and every game, if you get 4 tries, which is basically 4 touchdowns in football for those new like myself.
Yes.
So you've gotten basically every bonus point you possibly could get.
Yeah, and that carries a lot of weight come later in the season.
And I love that. I was watching the Seattle game last week, and they were out of it at the end, but they were hustling because they had 3 tries, and y'all were trying to keep them out of the try zone, so they didn't get that 4th. You didn't want them to get that bonus point.
No, like that's big currency later in the season. So you want to get as many points as you can. If you can't win, then you want to make sure you're close, and if you're not close, you want to make sure you at least get 4. All
right, for 2 years now, I've had guests. I've had Holden on each of the last 2 years. He brought a former player, Matt Houston, who actually was on the team. There's Holden right there. How about that producing? Who had a guy who was on this team that just beat the gold, Matt Houston. And then we had also Con Foley come with Holden, but we've also had the coach, the GM, and the owner. But now that I've been through 4 games and now kind of learning the game and kind of knowing a little better, and when you ask me, because I asked each one of them, describe the game of rugby to somebody that hasn't played it, now I'm going to have a better idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So describe the game of rugby for people that you want to get out there to watch the sport.
Rugby is a strange mix of football, soccer. It's just chaotic with rules, so to speak. So it's a bit of bedlam, but it's got a very nice structure to it once you begin to understand where the structure may lay.
Okay, that's pretty good, because I would not know what you're talking about until I watch these last 4. Because I get it completely now. Here's the thing I'm going to say about it. I wish this sport was around in New Orleans when I was growing up, because this would have been something I would have completely embraced. I played a lot of hoops, a lot of baseball, a lot of football. But this one, no pads, because my favorite thing actually growing up was getting 12 dudes, 15 dudes, 16 dudes, whatever it may be, and going to play tackle football in the park. Go sneak in at old Tulane Stadium, which is where the Saints used to play in front of 84,000 people. But we would play tackle football, and this seems like it would be a lot more fun than even that.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I wasn't exposed to this until I got later in college. I grew up playing ice hockey and football, but just like the same with you, we played football in the backyard, and we played street hockey in the cul-de-sac, and every opportunity you got to hit somebody, you did it.
You did it?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about rugby as opposed to football?
I like the free-flowing aspect of rugby. So you have set plays, but you don't necessarily need to use them. So it's a lot of an individual creativity. So you're able to express yourself with the rugby as opposed to X goes here, why goes here. Rugby, it's more of it's an open book.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And even Sandlot football is a little of that, what you're talking about, because we used to sit back and draw these things like the old proverbial in the sand and be okay, hey, and hey, you're going to do here. But hey, if this doesn't work, just go long.
Yeah, just take off.
Just go, we'll take them. So rugby, in the sense of that, it's a lot more freelancing, right? And what's as your position, because you are at the number 7 right now. That's what you're playing, a flanker, correct? Last year you played the number 13. Here's the unique thing about rugby, which I know most of you listening and watching won't know, is that you don't have a number all season unless you happen to stay in that one position.
Yeah.
Your number coincides with your position, which is why people have asked me, why don't you have numbers on the website? Well, at first I didn't know what, I said, I agree, they should have numbers. And then it came, your position will always be your number. So explain that to people.
So positions very much 1 through 15 are your starting roles, and those are the numbers that you will wear. So someone could wear 1 this week and then wear 17 next week, and then wear 1 the next week, and then 16 the next week. But it's all depending on what position you're playing on the field, and then if you're not on the field, what position you are on the bench. So who you're backing up on the bench. So a 16 would cover a 2, 17 and 18 cover 1 and 3.
Which is the backup. That's
those are your backups.
The cover is your backup, right.
So anything 16 to 23,
is a backup.
Those are your backup players.
Yeah. And those guys usually get in, correct me, because you have 15 that always play at the same time, but the other 7, that means you have 8 that have to play a full game, correct?
Yeah.
And are you one of the dudes that usually plays a full game?
I was lucky enough to play a full game against New York and then a full game against Toronto. The other 2, I end up getting hit in the face.
Yeah.
So I had to come out early.
A couple scars up there. So you say you're lucky enough. Others might say, I was lucky enough to come out of the game.
Yeah.
I was pretty tired. I was gassed.
Yeah, so some of the bigger fellas, they'll come out. Your 1 and 3 normally aren't going to play in 80 minutes. They're big, powerful guys. Not normally meant to go 80 minutes, just on the size of them.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
The camaraderie in rugby is unlike anything I've seen. And I've been around so many major league locker rooms. I've been around even more NBA locker rooms and several NFL locker rooms. All great in their own way, right? I'm not taking anything away from those sports, but rugby is completely unique. You were a quarterback in high school. You didn't play this game, like you said, until college. What separates the rugby player, the rugby camaraderie from the other sports?
With rugby, there's so much to learn. There's always new guys coming in. This year we've been lucky enough we have a lot of real quality players, real quality professionals coming in, and they're trying to teach you, and you're trying to pick up things from them, but you just really enjoy one another's company. It's a lot of fun. So whether you're playing, or whether you're at the clubhouse playing cards, or whether you're out to eat, or whether you're just sitting around on the couch with each other, it's a really enjoyable experience and a good crowd of guys to be around.
Yeah, it's a good crowd, and I can't put my complete finger on it because a lot of things you said, I've been on team planes where the team will be playing cards, of course, and but it's like if you lose in the card game in the pros, well, they'll give you a little time to pay up if you're a rugby player, I think. Whereas these dudes are like, give me my money and give it to me now. It's just a different feeling. That's the way I'm saying. Because you guys go drink together with the other team after the game. That's a unique thing, and I've used this example a lot. When you guys get in a fight on the pitch, the field, it's over after it's over. Whereas I've seen many of a basketball player that's sitting in the parking lot waiting for the dude to come out, sitting outside his locker room.
Yeah.
He really wants to end this thing in a different way. You guys in it, it's over. It's like it's part of the sport. Yeah,
you won't have that. So you get on field, and in the heat of the battle, things get said and gestures get exchanged. But after the match, it's happened to me the past 4 weekends. Actually, not proud of it, but
what
after
happened?
the game,
you got in a scrap?
You just gotten a little bit of a verbal back and forth with somebody, and after the game, you shake their hand, you go, "Hey, man, sorry about that. Just got caught up."
Hey, man.
And they say the same thing, and you handshake, give them a hug, and then you see them after.
Not anything wrong with a little verbal, something that's part of the action. It's part of sports in general. Here's the thing about this show. I don't know how many you've been on, but we give gifts.
All right, this is the best show ever.
And by the way, feel this one though. This is called Task Performance, and I'm gonna say this.
That's
I used
smooth.
to wear other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't wear it anymore. This is the only one.
This is the way to go, huh?
And I've been doing it way before they were doing the show.
Once
I put that on, it was all over here. Go get yourself a glass of wine. You can read a book in there if you need to.
Wow, I love this show.
Stella Shays. It's uptown. You obviously have a vehicle you got here, so you can get there. I'll tell you how to get there. And by the way, have you heard of this team? It's called the NOLA Gold. And here's the schedule. we had 4 straight home games. You see the gold? Oh, that's right. Those were home games, but we don't have another one until March. There you go. Till March 23rd, the Austin Elite. Utah is right after that in April. 2 more in May, and of course, we will be in the playoffs, meaning the NOLA Gold. So try to get your tickets. You see where to go, nolagoldrugby.com. Also, you can call 50, that's 50-RUGBY, and that's 504-50-RUGBY. So check that out. I'll give you the schedule here. Just
Right on.
Yeah. You've never seen that. Here you go.
No, this is new
All
stuff.
right,
Thanks,
brother.
Scott.
All right, bro.
I
Zack
appreciate
Stryffler. I know. How many times have you heard Stryffler's mother? Like 1 million?
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't start the show with it.
I appreciate
Most
it.
people would have. Hey, but I got to know you. Hey, real quick. We're not done because we're going to talk Pelicans. I have to talk Pelicans. Basketball, as you know, is my favorite sport. This has been a really weird year, though. Andrew Lopez, the beat writer for the Pels with Times-Picayune and NOLA.com is coming up next right here on Primetime Sports. Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports, and I know there's a lot of basketball fans out here, and a lot of people are just wondering what is next with the Pelicans. Well, hopefully we'll have a little bit of a clearer picture after this. I'm not sure we can completely clear this up, but I have Andrew Lopez. I haven't had him on since he's been the Pelicans beat writer. I remember I had him on once when he was doing the LSU scene, but here he is. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happened pre-All-Star break, what's going to happen maybe after the All-Star break. I'm not sure any of us really, truly know, but we'll hopefully get a picture. Andrew, you look like you're busy.
It's been busy, man.
Welcome to the show, first of all.
I appreciate it. It's a lot shorter drive now.
Yeah, right.
Covering
Exactly.
the
Much
Pels
easier.
and covering LSU. It's much easier to get here.
Well, when I thought about this situation, you were the first person I thought of. I was like, you know what? It's been a while. Let me get Andrew on. Let's figure this thing out. Let me just give you the broad thing. What's going on? How about that?
Man, it's a lot. It's a lot. So you go back January 28th, Anthony Davis requested trade.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it's been a very, and I think the best word I can describe it with is it's weird.
Can I ask you something? I just thought of this just this very second. You say January 28th. Is that the same day Boogie got hurt last
January
year?
26th.
Okay, because I know it was
Almost.
close. I mean, it's like...
Because I remember looking up all the others. It was either the 25th or the 26th when he got hurt.
You're right. It was 26th because
And
it was
then,
Friday, right?
yeah, so no, it wasn't. It's almost like fans would just like not, they would just avoid that day, just turn everything off.
Exactly.
But ever since then, it's been a weird type deal. They tried to force the deal to kind of get him to the Lakers right away. They wanted to get out by that February 7th trade deadline. Didn't happen. Rich Paul and Anthony Davis couldn't get that done. Now you're in this weird state where AD has to play. The NBA is kind of forcing him. They're saying, look, they're not saying, look, you have to play him, but they're saying if Rich Paul and AD file a grievance, by the rules, we're probably going to have to fine you.
I mean, it's
so
going to be weird to have him on the sideline, too, but it's just as weird to have him in, I guess.
And that's been another weird situation is having to deal with him on the court. The team has not flowed the same way when AD has been on the court.
Right.
The guys in the locker room are saying all the right things. Don't get me wrong. Drew, they're all saying the right things, but it's just becoming a very weird situation for everyone.
I had John Brady, former, obviously Final Four coach, on the show the day after it happened, and this is before everybody was bringing up the point of, does he play? It was at first it's like shock, right? It's like, oh my God, what is going on? I can't say I was completely shocked at this, honestly. But the thing is, John brought up immediately, I said, well, how would you react? He goes, how can I put this guy in the game?
Yeah.
Like, how can I put him in knowing that he's not fully invested? How can I tell the rest of the team to go completely and fight for your teammates when this guy's already told them he doesn't want to play with them?
The only thing that shocked me about it, I think, was the timing. I think everybody maybe saw this coming.
Yeah.
The timing was basically to try to force him to Los Angeles. But it's been weird. Like that first game he's out there, he's 32 points, 25 minutes. The first time he had ever scored that many points in that few minutes
Yeah, right.
in his NBA career.
Well,
He
yeah,
looked
this
engaged.
first half was ridiculous.
Looked like it
remember?
was going to be great. Next game against Memphis, he goes out and he has a poor shooting night. He's 14 points, 16 rebounds. Then comes the awful game against Orlando where he scores 3 points. It just
Can I say something?
He picked it back up
that
after.
game that you're talking about, that he scored before the bad ones.
Yeah.
When he was, you realize that there's 26 games left after that. There are only 5 out. It's not like we were all wanting the playoff, but the fact is like I was thinking maybe he's gonna just start blowing up and give the Pelicans a little going away present.
If they could have gone on a run. If you do anything because you're where you are in the West, you're 6 games out right now or 5 games out.
Yeah.
You win 10 straight like you did last year, you could be back in the conversation. But if he's playing like that, like he played in the first game, great. But then the next 2 games came. He was okay against Oklahoma City. It's just a weird situation that I think after the shoulder injury, I think maybe the Pelicans will start that conversation again. Like, look, we really can't do this right now. Like he could get injured. He's not making the team that much better right now.
Right. If he gets hurt, I mean, it's like Boogie. I mean, you got nothing to get for him. Obviously, Boogie's a free agent, so it's different. But you can't do anything with. Let's just say he has a torn Achilles. Please no.
You said it, not
but
me.
The fact is,
Pels fans, he said it, not me.
Sorry,
I didn't
Pels
do it.
Fans, my bad.
Right there.
My
Look
bad.
at him.
But if he got a serious injury,
absolutely.
what does this franchise do? I mean, what happens then?
Do
they get reparations from the NBA?
I'll say this: if he gets a serious injury, he's probably signing the max contract. He probably signs the extension, and he's probably here for a longer because you're not going to get much value from him. That would be you at least get the extension on him.
I don't see any particular scenario that he's here.
I mean, that's
him leaving the
arena.
arena.
Now that they have changed some things in the front office, maybe
what were your thoughts when he left the arena? That was you were there. Was that a big deal to you or
He
no?
was going to get the MRI. I think the only thing that is, I guess, different right now about that is maybe the team said, and this is what we do not know.
Right.
Maybe the team said, you probably don't need the MRI, and Rich was like, no, we're going to go get the MRI.
Yeah.
Because usually in those situations, he'll stay till the end of the game. He'll stay until the team gets back in the locker room. Then he will take off and go get the MRI.
Ain't America great? This young man right there to the left was selling, T-shirts, CDs, and hats out of the back of his car.
Throwback jerseys.
Throwback jerseys. You call it what you want. But the fact is that he is one of the most powerful agents in the NBA. I was in that game. I know it's not an easy game to get to with the level he's at, but he got hooked in with the very right person.
Yeah.
And you see them joking, laughing in their sweet duds right there. But here's the thing: there's a shot we have of Anthony Davis and obviously LeBron James in the locker room at the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Tell me how much in love Anthony Davis looks. He's like that. He just looks like he is smitten and saw the love of his life right
like
there.
Cupid's arrow was shot.
No, exactly.
Somewhere.
He's like, oh, looky here. And there's
that whole Clutch family.
There's,
That's
of
been
course,
the big
Ben Simmons.
thing is it's the Clutch family, and then you hear.
The Clutch family is still pretty small. That's Miles Bridges, if you don't know, on the right.
Yeah.
Ben
There's a couple more guys. Markieff Morris, Marcus Morris, they're all there.
Still, those
are
guys.
He has 10 to 12 guys, I think.
Put it this way, I was part of a sports agency that had, except there was no LeBron and AD, but we still had 10 All-Pros every year.
I think they have 10
very
guys,
small group.
period.
Yeah, they got 10 guys. But they're obviously you got the 2 of the best.
Yeah, you got 2 of the best, and you got Ben Simmons right there next to him.
And you're going to grow. And they're going to be bigger and bigger.
It's so Clutch is so much right now that even when Ben Simmons, like when Magic says that, Ben wants to talk to me about learning how to be a big point guard, it's like a big tampering issue. Like, the whole NBA has to get involved. You have to, figure out if it's tampering, figure out if it's not. And it was funny to see how quickly the NBA moved on that in more of a public manner, while the Pels are still kind of searching for answers on whether or not they can kind of play this guy going forward.
Isn't it crazy?
I think you'll see something going forward. I do not see Anthony Davis playing 23 games.
It's going to be very interesting to see. This all is going to happen in the next couple of days. We're going to know something. By the way, I've been to 19 All-Star games, NBA All-Star games, and I cannot wait to not get to my next one. I swear to God, I'm done with it. It's kind of like Vegas. After like 09 or something, I'm like, I'm done completely with Vegas, and I actually went for the first time in a decade to a basketball tournament like at Thanksgiving. I'm like, oh, I'm okay now. But I don't really have any desire to go to these things anymore.
Yeah.
It was cool for a long time, but you didn't go this week, and you were happy to have that time off. But the press conferences, you were watching the stuff from afar. What did you take out of Anthony Davis' stuff?
I think it was kind of weird because he comes back. I keep using that word because I don't know how to describe the situation. He comes back and he says, somebody asked him about the list itself. And somebody goes, oh, and he says, well, that's between my agent and the Pelicans, but the list is true.
Yeah, no, that was weird, right?
Well, what list is true? I think what he was saying was there are two different lists when you kind of step back and look at it. I think there is a list that is the teams he will sign with.
Right.
Which I think
but then he
remains
said
the
another
same.
thing where he said that you do all 29.
I think that's the list of teams he would be willing to be traded to, which he's basically saying, you can trade me anywhere. I'm going to be a free agent in 2020.
Right.
If you happen to trade me to these 4 teams.
What about this one here? That's Kyrie Irving.
Those 5 teams, because he added that Boston to that list in the middle of this, but then you didn't know whether Boston was added to the preferred list or the I'll go anywhere, trade me to 29 list. I think that Boston thing is probably still your best option if you're the Pelicans. If they're going to try to want to keep Kyrie Irving, so they're going to try to get Anthony Davis to make that happen.
Is there any chance the Pelicans can honestly, truly get Jason Tatum? Because that's what we keep hearing. But I know Danny Ainge well enough to know that now that he's going to have some leverage, he's going to be like, hey, sorry. I mean, thanks for waiting for us.
I think the only other thing that's going to help is you're going to have other teams in that mix. The Lakers are going to come back with their deal, and the Lakers may not make the playoffs. That makes that pick a better pick for them. If they're trading 14 or 15 instead of
16
20,
or 17.
Or wherever they
Wherever they would
have got to, 20, whatever.
There's 16 teams in the playoffs, so it's 15 through 30.
So
it's either 15 or 14, whatever.
They could have squeezed in whatever they did.
There's another love fest right there.
Yeah, you're going to have more teams get in, and I think if they want to ultimately put Kyrie and AD together,
we can get Tatum.
Tatum's going to be
Tatum,
on the table.
okay, that's the one palpable player I'd be like, okay, you got something out of this. You're never going to get full value for AD.
No.
You just can't. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. He's too good. You're not going to get that.
And there's only a year left in the contract. The other team would be dumb to give you somebody equal. But Jason Tatum is the one guy that's got potential to have star quality.
Yeah. The only other player that I think would be equal to Tatum in this is Zion Williamson.
Oh yeah,
from
that's
Duke.
a good call.
Now, if you were to get, if New York was say to get the number 1 pick in the draft, they win the lottery. They're among the teams with the worst record. They have the best chance right now. The 3 teams with 14%. If you were to get Zion Williamson and Knicks can flip the number 1 overall pick for Anthony Davis, so they could start to build their super team with maybe AD, Kevin Durant, Kyrie.
But
Kemba
even if
Walker
the Knicks had the worst
mix,
record, their best chance is 24%. Is it 14?
Now.
That's the thing. It's like
they changed those odds.
People talk about they changed it to make it harder. Makes the lottery more
all
exciting.
of this comes down on the New York side. All of it comes down to who wins the lottery.
Right.
And if New York doesn't win the lottery, I think you maybe take them out. Maybe if they have the number 2 pick, they can build a package to where maybe you get the kid from Murray State, or maybe get one of those other Duke guys. So you can build something, but Jason Tatum and Zion Williamson are the only 2 guys I think who are going to bring that star power, that value that you'd like to get. Otherwise, you're building. You're going to try to do it with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in multiple picks.
And I got news for everybody out there. I'm going to look at you. Zion Williamson's not Anthony Davis. I'm just going to say this right now. He's a very good, dynamic, exciting basketball player, but he's more exciting than superstar. He's going to be very good.
The one thing about Zion, when you get out to Zion Williamson, you have a chance to see something, I think, that you've never seen before on a basketball court. That's going to be, I think, the draw for Zion. He is so good. He's so athletic.
Because he's so big?
Because he's so big.
Because that was LeBron before. Because
yeah.
LeBron, we've never seen anything bad that big doing the Michael Jordan type stuff. And
right.
he's not Jordan. Let me be honest. But
the dunks and the athleticism.
But you're right. Zion
like
just took it to another level, didn't he? For size, meaning
I mean, he's 6'7", 280. I mean, the guy is built like a huge tight end.
Is he just 6'7"?
He's just 6'7".
Okay, I thought he was a little bigger.
I mean, when he
just
jumps
looks
45
like a
inches.
Because LeBron weighs 285,
yeah.
but I guess because he's 6'9".
So I mean, he weighs the same as LeBron. He's just an athletic.
Before I give you the gifts, what's the future of the New Orleans Pelicans?
I think it's the Boston deal. I think AD goes to Boston, and they start the rebuild. I do not think this team tries to take a step back. I think they continue to try to move forward next year.
His name is Andrew Lopez, and he's tired. Tired talking about AD. That's what he's tired here. I got you a gift to you go get some wine over at Shays de la Shays.
Appreciate
Shade, that's right on Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway. And here's something you probably didn't get last time. This is Task Performance. I want you to feel
these. This was great.
It's an amazing. Where do you put that on? Play a little hoops. I know you like basketball. And then I'm gonna give you a schedule because I want to get you out to the rugby. You have a friend that plays rugby, correct?
I do.
Yeah, give him a shout out. What's his name?
Christian Norton. He just broke his face. So.
Yeah, he just broke his face.
You know Christian. Tell him he broke his face.
Hey, if you like breaking faces, there you go. Major League Rugby. Thanks, brother.
Boom.
Hey, we got to thank a lot of people here. Got to thank the two coaches, Celeste and, of course, Ladner, and, of course, my man, Zack Stryffler. Don't call him Striffler's mother. It's Zack Stryffler, the leading tackle in MLR, and, of course, Andrew Lopez, and everybody right here at WLAE and CST. We'll see you again next week right here on Primetime Sports.